My name is Algimantas. I represent Creator to this planet and on this planet as his ambassador and apostle of Jesus and his partner, Creator daughter Nebuchadnezzar. When Jesus was in the flesh, he was speaking out plenty of teachings. They were about the heavenly kingdom. But at that time, people were expecting a Messiah who would take up the vacant throne of King David. And they expected and cherished hopes that he would ultimately liberate Jews out of the yoke of pagans of the Roman Empire. Even though Jesus was pointing out the kingdom to be created in one's heart, but the absolute majority of people were thinking about the material kingdom with a material king. So there was the episode when the multitudes were taught and Jesus wanted to have some rest with his apostles, to have some recuperation of energy away from the multitudes. And they decided to disperse these people so that they might go and visit some of their relatives and later on proceed walking to Jerusalem for a Passover feast. That is the celebration of the Jews' liberation from the Egypt slavery that they had been led by Moses. But the problem was that the multitudes did not wish to obey Jesus' request. Jesus decided that they would sail across the lake together with the 12 apostles. But some of the people noticed them trying to escape them. And they simply hired all the vessels that were around this part, and they followed Jesus and his apostles. And those who didn't manage to get a boat, then they decided to walk around that wing of the lake. So gradually, multitudes again began to assemble on the other bank of the lake. And when a couple of days passed, so the total amount of the people exceeded 5,000. And Jesus was worried that the food store has been exhausted already. People brought food only for a couple of days on their way to Jerusalem. And when David Zebedee proposed setting up an encampment, Jesus was against it because he didn't want that multitudes were following him and the apostles. So he thought that maybe he might go across the lake and they would not see their departure. But it was not the case. And when the multitudes didn't have food at all, Jesus asked Philip, who was responsible for the food supply, how much food they still had in store. And it appeared that there were only 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes, dried fishes. So this is a big problem to Jesus' mind. What to do? And he asked Andrew and Philip, so what should be done under the conditions? And they both suggested that these crowds should be dispersed, that they would go to the nearby villages and buy some food. But Jesus did not agree with this suggestion, as he said, but I do not want them to go while they are hungry. And he asked that the remaining of the food the apostles were still kept in provision would be brought to him. And those were the 5 loaves of barley bread and 2 fishes. And he informed Andrew that he would arrange that all the multitudes would be formed into groups of 100 with the leader of the group. And he asked that the evangelists would come. And he started just first thanking the Father for the food and breaking the bread and the fish and giving them to the apostles, and they would pass this food to other associates and evangelists so that they would take this food to the multitudes. And actually, all 5,000 people were fed with an abundance of food, so that Jesus even requested that they would take all the remaining food that was not consumed into baskets. And there were 12 baskets full of bread and fish. So at that time, an idea was ripening that Jesus should be crowned as the king of that heavenly kingdom. But now, after the multitude was fed with a lot of food, just out of the 5 loaves of barley bread and 2 fishes, the multitudes were so enthusiastic about making Jesus king. There was no doubt that should be anyone else but Jesus their king. And they were just shouting, "Make him king." Then Jesus realized that it's not the way it should be proceeded on. He stepped up on a big stone, straightened up and he was lit in the sunset eastern light. This Galilean guy looked majestic in a true king pose, and he said, "My dears, you are meaning well, but you are misguiding yourselves, because you have been fed with a material food. Your stomachs are full, and now you want a material king. But I was teaching you that my kingdom is the kingdom of a spiritual nature, and the ruler in this heavenly kingdom is the Father. It is His light that should attract you ever more, ever stronger. But you were not attracted to the Father and to His living bread, to His living water of spirit, once your stomachs were full with material food." And he all of a sudden regretted. "Haven't I showed you enough of the Father that you would still consider that I was speaking about a material kingdom?" Not at all. I've been speaking to you about a heavenly kingdom. And that's why. Go and pray, and pray. If you want the king and the kingdom, so that this ruler within you would be the ruler of your spirit, pray for this. And he summoned up his apostles and said, "Now go and pray for yourselves for the kingdom in heaven, and especially pray for Simon Peter, your associate apostle." So this is the episode I narrated that has been described in detail in this epochal revelation, the Urantia book, that I'm constantly showing you. This revelation has been passed to humans by spiritual personalities much higher than mortals, than humans. When I present my spiritual teachings, very few people watch them on YouTube, just several scores of people. But even those who watch them, not all understand them from the spiritual point of view. I address you that you would commune with Creator as a personality with your own sincerity, in your own words, without any prayer books. Just open your spiritual personality, which is this inner inhabitant of this material body, human body. But this is not a human. This is a spiritual, eternal personality. A mortal life has only this material body. But the true dweller of this body, like in my case, my spiritual person, that is, I'm immortal. Immortal. Like you are immortal as well. Each of you is immortal. Because you are a spiritual person. So that's why you are immortal. Because a spiritual personality is an eternal gift, not a development. It's a gift by Creator, who is the source and center of eternity, immortality. So all his gifts are also eternal. This body is only a temporary means for doing good deeds for this personality, but doing the good deeds for the benefit of all. So that's why my teachings, even though I might even touch upon some issues of political, economic matter, social matter, all the same, they're directed to your spiritual personality within the body and to your brotherhood, which is a spiritual phenomenon among mortals, even though still in the flesh on this planet. And within the brotherhood community, there cannot be any war. There cannot be any fighting. No radical, traumatic conflicts can arise. Because Creator is being one and the same to all. Is the unchanging focus, center, source that is uniting all humanity through his spirit that he has bestowed upon each of you mind. So that's why think with your spiritual and divine mind when you hear my teaching. I'm addressing you, no matter what you are, what political position you might hold, what intellect you might possess. I'm addressing your spiritual personality, which is within this material body. Because without my teachings being applied in practice, doing good deeds for the benefit of all, you will not be able to get even to Jesus. It is through my teachings that you can go to Jesus. Otherwise, it is impossible. Because my word is the word of Creator himself. He is using me as his ambassador, that he would speak out his living word through my material lips. But these teachings are coming out of Creator through spiritual vibrations, that they are being transformed into the words that you hear. But you should listen to them and hear them with your spiritual personality's sincere, opened mind, which is the mind of wisdom, of reality, of your true personality, spiritual personality, not the other side of this mind, which has the material and animal origin, full of different conflicts, different self-pride, different manifestations of anger, impatience, hatred, aggression. No, this is the divine mind of the divine personality, embraced by Creator within his hug, and keeping all creation within his own embrace, all the universes, and all his sons and daughters in these universes, local universes, super universes, central Havana universe, and even on Paradise, the focus of all energy vibrations of Creator and the dwelling abode of Creator in the center of the whole of creation, Paradise. So that's why even like apostles didn't understand Jesus' teachings the way Jesus desired they would understand them. Even the multitudes that listened to the teachings of Jesus didn't understand these teachings the way Jesus was presenting them to the multitudes. Today, my teachings are also the extension of Jesus' teachings with an expanded outlook about creation, about energy vibrations, about spiritual personality, and this personality's approach to Creator and to the personality itself. And even in this case, just very few, too few, understand my teachings. And that is 2,000 years after Jesus Christ. That's, of course, shame on you. But such as reality of this time and in this generation. But the time shall come when my teachings shall be heard by all humanity. The time shall come that billions of humans would be drinking the living water and eating the living bread, or the bread of life from Creator through my teachings. That moment shall arrive. I know what I speak out of.